There are 4 bottles of tap water in my fridge right now. Nobody drinks them. They have been there for 2 years. I put them there because the internet told me they would save me money, and for 2 years I believed it. Last month I finally measured. The bottles saved me almost nothing. The advice is wrong, but I am not taking them out because when I worked out why the advice is wrong, I found out what those bottles are actually doing, and it is better. Let me show you. The advice is everywhere. Search how to lower your electricity bill, and it is on every list, usually somewhere near the top. Keep your fridge full. An empty fridge works harder. Fill the gaps with bottles of water. And it sounds obviously right. That is what makes it dangerous. You can feel the logic. All that cold food in there, sitting in the dark, helping, holding the cold, sharing the work. An empty fridge has nothing to help it, so of course it struggles. Of course it runs more. Everyone knows this. Ice keeps a cooler cold. A cold thing helps other things stay cold. Your fridge is just a big cooler with a motor. It is such a comfortable idea that almost nobody checks it, so let us check it. Start with a question that sounds too simple. What is your fridge actually doing all day? It is not making cold. There is no such thing as cold. Your fridge is a pump. It picks up heat from the inside and it dumps that heat out the back into your kitchen. That is all it does. That warm breeze behind your fridge is the heat that used to be in your food. So the real question is not what is inside. The real question is, where does the heat come from? And the answer is the walls. Every second of every day, heat is soaking through the sides of that box. Your kitchen is 22 degrees. The inside is 4. Heat always slides from warm to cold, and it does not care that you would prefer it did not. It comes through the plastic, through the foam, around the door seal, constantly, forever. That leak is the enemy. That leak is the entire job. And you can write the leak down. It is 3 things multiplied together. How good the insulation is, how big the box is, and how much colder you are keeping it than the room. That is the equation. That is the whole video. Look at it for a second. Insulation, size, temperature difference. Now tell me where the food is. It is not there. It is not in the equation, because the wall does not know what is behind it. Heat comes through that wall at exactly the same rate whether the shelf behind it holds a chicken or holds nothing at all. And here's the part that took me embarrassingly long to accept. Once your food is cold, it is done. Think about a jar of pickles that has been in there since Tuesday. It is 4 degrees. It is not doing anything. It is not making heat. It is not fighting. It is just sitting there, exactly as cold as its surroundings, needing nothing forever. A cold jar of pickles is not a helper. It is furniture. Food only costs you energy once, on the day you put it in warm. After that, it is a rock. So the fridge wakes up every morning to fight the same enemy it fought yesterday. Not the food, the walls. And the walls are the same size whether the fridge is packed or bare. Now, you are already arguing with me. I know, because I argued too. What about thermal mass? And you are right that it is real. Watch a full fridge and an empty fridge and they genuinely behave differently. The empty one clicks on and off, short little bursts. The full one runs less often, but when it runs longer. That is true. I am not going to pretend it is not. The full fridge really does have a steadier heartbeat, but look carefully at what changed. The empty fridge runs more often. The full fridge runs longer, fewer, longer, more, shorter. That is when the work happens. That is not how much work there is. The heat that leaked in today has to leave today. All of it. You do not get to keep it. So whatever came through those walls, the pump has to pay for before tomorrow. You can pay it in 20 short bursts or 6 long ones. The bill at the end of the day is the same bill. Thermal mass did not delete the work. It rescheduled it. It is a flywheel. It smooths out the ride. But you cannot store your way out of a leak. If a bucket has a hole in it, putting a brick in the bucket does not slow the leak. It just means the water level drops in a smoother line. And this is not me being clever. This is a measured, settled question. A researcher at the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy, the people whose entire job is finding out what actually lowers your bill, puts it in one flat sentence. A full refrigerator does not decrease energy use. Food does not displace enough to matter. So that is that. 2 years of bottles. Wrong. Except if you've ever felt that this channel is worth 5 minutes of your week, the subscribe button is right there and it genuinely helps. Because there is one moment where your intuition is not wrong. One moment where something really does escape. The door. When you open that door, something leaves. And I want to be precise about what leaves, because this is where everyone gets it backwards. The cold does not pour out of the cheese. The cheese does not move. The cheese does not care. What pours out is air. Cold air is heavy. It is denser than the air in your kitchen. So when you open the door, it does not politely stay put. It slides out over your feet and lies on the floor, and warm kitchen air walks in to take its place. And now the fridge has to cool a whole box of your kitchen from scratch. And air is the only thing that can do this. The food is too heavy and too solid to go anywhere. So finally, here's where filling the fridge does something real. Every bottle you put in is a space that used to be air and now is not. Less air in the box means less air can escape. Fill the box and there is simply less to lose. That is a real effect, so let us find out how big it is. A fridge holds about 350 liters of air. That sounds like a lot until you weigh it. All of that air weighs about 400 grams. Less than a can of drink. Air is almost nothing. To warm 400 grams of air by 17 degrees takes about 7 kilojoules. Add the moisture that walks in with it, and you are at about 9. 9 kilojoules is roughly 2/1000ths of a kilowatt hour. Open that door 40 times a day, and you have spent about 1/10 of a kilowatt hour. Your fridge uses somewhere between 1 and 1.5 a day. So all of your door opening all day, every day is somewhere around 5 to 10% of the bill. And that matches what the measurements say. Studies put bad door habits at 5 to 10%, and one found a case as bad as 28. Read that number again because it is the real answer to the question we started with. Even if you filled every empty space perfectly, you are chipping away at a slice that is 5 to 10% of the total. You are not saving your bill. You are saving pennies off 1/10 of it. The bottles work. They just work on the wrong thing by an amount too small to find. So take them out, right? No, leave them in because I have been telling you the whole story except the ending. Everything I just said assumed one thing so basic that I never said it out loud. It assumed the fridge is running. So turn it off. Not the door, the power, a storm, a blown fuse, a street dug up by someone with a machine. The pump stops. Nothing is moving heat out of that box anymore. And now look at the equation again because every single term just changed meaning. The leak is still there. Heat is still soaking through those walls at exactly the same rate as always. The walls never cared about the power, but now there is nothing fighting back. The heat comes in and it stays in. Your food starts a slow walk up to room temperature. And the only thing standing between your food and that room is how much cold you have banked inside the box, which is precisely thermal mass. The thing that did nothing for your bill is now the only thing you have. And the numbers here are not mine, and they are not a blog post. This is the United States Department of Agriculture, the people who decide when food becomes dangerous. A full freezer holds a safe temperature for about 48 hours. A half-empty one, 24. Double. Filling your freezer literally doubles how long your food survives a blackout. Not 5%, not pennies, double. That is what my bottles are. That is what they have been doing for 2 years, silently, while I told people they were saving me money. They were never an efficiency upgrade. They are an insurance policy. And that is the thing I actually want you to keep. Thermal mass never buys you energy. It buys you time. Those are two completely different currencies, and the advice on the internet quietly swapped one for the other and nobody noticed, including me. When the power is on, cold in a bottle is worthless. The pump was going to handle it anyway. When the power is off, cold in a bottle is the whole game. Same bottle, same physics. The value flipped the moment the electricity died. 2 honest warnings before you go and fill yours. First, do not cram it. There is a real limit here. Your fridge cools by moving air around, and if you wall off every gap, that air cannot circulate. You get warm pockets, food that spoils in a corner you never check, and a machine that genuinely does work harder. About 3/4 full is the sweet spot. Full is good, solid is not. Second, if you actually want a smaller bill, the equation already told you where to look, and it was never the food. Stop holding the door open while you think. Check your seal. If it does not grip a piece of paper, it is leaking all day. Do not put the fridge next to the oven because that raises the temperature difference, and the difference is right there in the equation. And let hot food cool down before it goes in because hot food is the one time your food really is the enemy. None of that is as satisfying as putting bottles in a fridge. All of it works better. So here is where I landed. The advice was wrong, the reason was wrong, and I repeated it for 2 years, and I am still keeping the bottles. Because a thing can be useless for the reason you were told and valuable for a reason nobody mentioned. My fridge is not cheaper. My food is just harder to kill. Go and look at your freezer tonight, not to save money. Look at how much empty space is in there and ask yourself how long that food has if the lights go out. Then tell me in the comments how full yours is. I want to know how many hours you are carrying and whether you knew you had them.